Let's welcome in our morning guest at this point of time. Shrikant Shetty is now with us, Ashish Chaturmoha and Sameet Chavan. All three are joining us this morning. Shrikant, let's start with you. What are your calls?
Primarily, we like the housing finance names. I think they come out with reasonable set of numbers. We see long-term growth potential there. So I think LIC Housing Finance, DHFL both look positive from a numbers point of view and from a trade point of view. From a long-term perspective, we do like these stocks. I think the sector is expected to grow about 15-20%. Even the second largest company like LIC Housing Finance it has a sustainable growth about 15%. So retail growth is a bit slow, and there could be some repricing pressure in the immediate short term. But from a medium to long-term perspective, we like the stock. And same goes to DHFL. I think come out with a reasonable set of numbers. Again, we have seen disbursements go down for the quarter, which is again in line with expectation, which is expected to be there in the near short term. There could be some pain in terms of growth, but from a medium to long-term perspective, I think the valuations are interesting here to invest from a long-term perspective.
Ashish, what are your calls?
Hi, good morning, Pankaj. My first pick would be a long idea on REC Limited. Now, if you look at this stock, it has been consolidating for last 4-5 months in a range between 142 to 115, 116 on downside. Yesterday, we see a clear breakout about this 142 mark with a very strong volume participation. And if you look at it in terms of the open interest addition, also in last couple of trading sessions, we have seen a very strong addition in terms of carry forward positions. So that gives me a sense that this stock is poised for a very strong upside. We can expect a target of 157, 158 on upside. On downside, one can keep a stop below 136 for an upside target of 157.58. Apart from this, I think the entire PSU basket, let it be stock like Power Grid, NTPC, PFC are in a strong uptrend. So I think the entire sector is in a very strong uptrend. My second long idea would be on Adani Ports. Again, if you look at this stock, this has seen a very strong volume action in last 3-4 trading sessions. And on the weekly charts, this stock has given a fresh breakout above 295 zone. So I think this stock is poised for a move towards 315 to 320 in a shorter term time frame. However, on the positional side, I think this stock has a potential to cross even 345, 350 levels. So one can initiate a long position at current levels, keeping a stop below 293, and in short term can look for a target of 315, 320 kind of levels. My third pick would be a long idea on Bajaj Finance. Again, a very strong base formation around this 850 mark. Almost a double bottom formation, clearly indicating that a fresh up move towards 1020 can be seen in next couple of trading sessions. So one can initiate a long at current levels, keeping a stop below 895, and an upside can look for a target of 1020 in next 1 to 2 weeks.
Sameet, what are your calls for the day?
Yeah, three calls would be on the long side. First one would be on SBI. Clearly, the overall banking space has been outperforming of late. Yesterday, we saw good traction, positive traction in most of the PSU banking counters. SBI, which was struggling since last 3 weeks, around 253, 254, yesterday has managed to give a decisive breakout from this important resistance zone. Thus, going ahead, we expect SBI to extend this move. Our immediate target would be around 264. Stop loss would be around 249. Our second buy call would be on IDFC. After long consolidation, this stock has managed to give a decisive breakout from inverse head shoulder pattern around its 57-58 resistance zone. Yesterday we saw good decisive closing beyond that resistance, and thus going ahead we expect this stock to climb towards 66, which would be our near-term target. Stop loss can be fixed around 54.4, and our third buy call would be on DLF. Clearly, after 3 to 4 days of consolidation, yesterday we saw a good price volume breakout from a bullish flag pattern. The stock has already managed to surpass its daily 89 EMA, which is placed around 128, and thus going ahead we expect DLF to move towards 139, and stop loss can be fixed around 124.
Alright, Shrikant, the Reliance has come out with its earnings, seems to be a mixed bag. How would you assess this stock? What should investors do with it?
So I think if you look at the bottom line, it's been in line with expectation, but it's been driven largely by other income. So if you look at on refining margins front, it's been slightly lower than the expectation, while the petchem has been slightly better. So that's the broad thing. We basically have an investment call, which is primarily we have a neutral call, primarily on concerns on how the investments will play out. because on the investments in Jio as well as the other large investments. So we think we are monitoring that, and based on that we will take a call from a long-term perspective. But currently we think it's a slightly negative, probably on the being a miss on the refining margins, and the expectations were there. So I think there will be some declines in the near term. So we have a neutral rating there.
All right, so you're neutral on Reliance. Ashish, what about your view on say the charts for Reliance? Because lots of resistance around 1100 level. In pre-open it is looking weak. What would you do with Reliance?
See Anisha, if you look at last 2 years, this stock has been continuously facing a very stiff resistance around this 1130, 1140 mark, and every time it crosses 1100, 1110, it looks like that this time this is going to cross this 1130 mark. But for last 2 years at least this has not happened. So I think we'll wait, and once a decisive breakout above 1130 comes in, then only I think a clear uptrend would be visible. In case 1130 is broken, then I think the targets are not going to be small. In that case, I think the stock has a potential to even cross 1400 mark, but till it doesn't crosses 1130, I think it is going to trade in a range, and now it is around those resistance area of 1100, 1110. So I think around those levels this stock might see some amount of profit booking, but definitely looking into the broadly weekly, monthly charts, it looks like on downside also this stock is going to see a lot of support around 1040, 1030 levels.
Right. What is your view on LIC Housing and Diwan Housing? Both of them declared numbers yesterday.
See, looks quite interesting. If you look at, as Shrikant mentioned that, both these ideas are looking quite positive. If you look at yesterday's, volume action in LIC and the Diwan Housing, clearly indicating that a lot of buying interest is being seen at a lower level. So first, if you look at LIC Housing, this stock has seen a very strong support around this 525 zone, and keeping that as a stop loss, I think this stock has a potential to test 580, 600 in a shorter term. Once it crosses 600, I think then the stock is poised for a fresh all-time high and can expect a level of 650, 660 kind of level. So in a shorter term, yes, one can expect the targets of 580 kind of levels in next 1 to 2 weeks. As far as Diwan Housing is concerned, again a strong candidate which has formed a double bottom formation around 240, 245 mark. Very strong volume participation in last 2-3 trading sessions, clearly indicating stock is poised for a move towards 320, 330 on upside.
Right. Shrikant, do you think that, more than the numbers for these housing finance companies and banking names, it's just a relief that investors are seeing that there's no major negative surprise?
Yeah, that I think is primarily what people are waiting for, to see whether how a big impact will be seen in the results. So we're not seeing a substantial impact. There is definitely some impact. I mean, on the repricing front, there is some impact in LIC Housing. We are seeing some impact in terms of slowdown in terms of loans and disbursement sanctions. I think both in case of DHFL as well. But from a longer term perspective, I think these are being seen as opportunities, because the growth story from on housing finance is effectively going to remain, and as a sector, as I said, it's 15-20% growth. Even the largest companies are able to deliver. So clearly some of the smaller names, the medium-sized names will be able to deliver.
What I was trying to ask is, for IndusInd Bank, EPS upgrades were 1 to 2%. For Diwan Housing, EPS upgrades are less than 5%, which was the movement yesterday. For LIC, again, it's flat. So it's more of a relief in the stock price rather than just the upgrades in earnings?
Right. I don't think it's upgrade in earnings, because what has happened is that the stock price have corrected a lot substantially. So in terms of valuation, the room for upside remains quite substantial. So in that sense, once we have seen these results, I think people are playing for the upside, bigger upside going ahead.
Right. So basically the multiple expansion. Right. Just expecting the markets to open in about a couple of seconds now. We should have the opening prices anytime in just a few seconds. Here you go with the first trades. That's the opening bell. Nifty is up around 4 odd points. Tata Motors 528. Hindalco is up around 0.4%. Tata Steel 459. Don't forget, it was one of the top gainers yesterday. Bank of Baroda 160 rupees, about 0.5% on the higher side. Axis Bank 478, again in the last few days has done particularly well. 19th is when they declared declared numbers. Reliance Industries is a impact on results, or because of the results. 2.5 lakh shares traded, 1.7% down, 1,057 as far as Reliance Industries is concerned, 19 to 20 rupees on the lower side. LIC Housing, that's again another results impact, 545 for LIC Housing. Remember, it went up yesterday as well post the numbers. Diwan Housing continues to move on the upside, 0.6% higher, 290 for Diwan Housing. About 2.5 lakh shares, or rather 3 lakh shares one can say, are traded for Diwan Housing. So these are names that are actually reacting to some of the news flow, basically based on results. Sun Pharma is up around 0.5%, L&T is up around 0.3, Asian Paints is up around 0.4, HUL is up around 2 rupees or so, HDFC Limited is up close to about 2 rupees, 1258. Hero MotoCorp 5 rupees decline, 3086. M&M is down about 2 rupees or so. Z Entertainment 0.6 rupees higher, and Lupin 1500 rupees. But it's been volatile in the last few days. Reliance Industries, the impact of results 1.4%. Look at volume, 6 lakh shares traded. Hindalco flat with a positive bias. Tata Motors close to 530. SBI 1% higher. Tata Steel 457. Bank of Baroda 160, 161, and ICICI Bank 269, 269.50. Idea Cellular 70 rupees for Idea Cellular. Axis Bank 1 rupee higher. ONGC up close to about 0.5, and BHEL up around 0.5%, close to about 129. ITC is flat with a positive bias, and TCS is up around 18 rupees. But in the last few days, TCS and Infosys has seen a decent amount of crack. Anisha, any names that you can pick up on the volume side?
Well, a number of these high beta stocks are in action today. Take a look at Suzlon. Suzlon is up 2.5% and seeing a very large change in number of shares traded. The news coming in on Suzlon is that it has completed 10,000 megawatt of wind power energy in the country, and that one is doing well. So it is among the big excuse me, gainers today. Some of the logistic firms are doing well. So Snowman Logistics is up 5%, Gati is up 4%, they're doing well. We've got Manappuram Finance continuing with its up move, as well as HT Media. HT Media is also higher by about 2% today. We have some of the other stocks like GVK Power and Adani Power also doing well. On the losing side, Fortis is looking weak, that is down 2.5%, Reliance is down 2%, and Treehouse is also facing some amount of pressure. Now Fortis is down about 3%. So this is a snapshot that we have of the stocks. Sameet, have you had a look at the charts of steel companies like Tata Steel and JSW Steel? Well, Tata Steel was up nearly 3% a day earlier. JSW Steel has seen at least 3 dodgies coming in one after the other. Does this show any sort of indecision, because it's already looking very overbought?
No, if we look at the overall broader degree chart structure of both the stocks, there certainly looks quite encouraging. If you look at the Tata Steel, due to yesterday's strong surge, the stock has managed to give a decisive price volume breakout from a monthly chart. By looking at the overall chart structure, the stock is clearly poised for the up move. This stock has a potential to move beyond 500 also, if we consider at least next 2 to 3 months time horizon. Thus, we would maintain our positive bias on Tata Steel as well. Now any dip towards 450, 445 would be a very good buying opportunity. As I said, the stock has a potential to move much higher from current level. As far as levels for JSW is concerned, this stock has been outperforming since last 1.5 years. The stock was, it has been maintaining its height of higher bottom formation and is now trading around its all-time high. Thus, we might see some consolidation happening around these levels, but we could see the stock heading beyond 200 probably in next 2 to 3 weeks. Thus, any dip would be a very good buying opportunity. Now, support can be seen around 175, 178 levels.
Remain positive on both these counters. Shrikant, today we're seeing a big move coming in Suzlon Energy. It's up 4%. Now, from about 7-8 years ago, this stock has come off a lot, and it's nearly like a penny stock now. But do you think the business prospects for this counter are good? And in the run-up to the budget, can we see further appreciation of the price? Because there could be some stops for alternative energy producers, and Suzlon seems to have struck this milestone of 10,000 megawatts of wind power energy in India. How would you view this stock?
See, if you look at a broad sector perspective, yes, there is some I think positive vibes for the sector. We have seen renewable energy getting special focus from this from the new government. There is expectation that there could be more demand in this space, and clearly the company has also restructured itself in terms of getting its finances right. So things are improving. We are starting to see some improvement in terms of performance coming through, and the order flows have also been improving. So overall, yes, there are some signs that there could be a turnaround for the company, but that's all as of now we can share.
All right, so positive on Suzlon Energy. Ashish, what have you seen for some of the consumer names like Havells and even Crompton Consumer? Any view on these two counters?
See, as far as Havells is concerned, we have already seen a good uptick from 320 odd levels to almost 380 levels, but I think looking into the volume participation, it seems that stock might see further action towards 395-400 zone, but definitely at this juncture I think there might be some profit booking towards the levels of 370, 368 kind of levels. Around those levels, it's an interesting idea wherein one can enter a long position keeping a stop below 360, and on upside can look for a target of 400 levels.
All right. Sameet, have you had a look at Manappuram Finance and Muthoot Finance? Both these, Manappuram Finance was up a day earlier as well. How are these counters looking? And let me put in another NBFC there, Bajaj Finance. Your view on these three counters?
See, we have been closely following Manappuram Finance as well as Bajaj Finance. Bajaj Finance yesterday gave a decisive breakout from its near-term hurdle, and thus going ahead we would maintain our optimistic stance on Bajaj Finance. So at least from current level we would expect this stock to move higher, nearly 6 to 8% higher from current level. As far as Manappuram Finance is concerned, this stock has been struggling around at 70-75, which has been acting as a very strong resistance of late. But yesterday we saw good price volume breakout from this important hurdle on a closing basis, and thus going ahead we expect this stock to head higher. Near-term target on Manappuram Finance would be around 90-92, and we expect any dip to get bought into, and thus 70-68 seems to be a very strong support. Any dip would be a buying opportunity, and in the near term we expect the stock to head higher. 90-92 would be our near-term targets on Manappuram Finance.
All right, so those are the views on NBFCs. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on NDTV Profit. As we go, we'll take a disclosure. Sameet, you've already run your disclosures on our channel. Shrikant, can you leave us with your disclosures?
Yeah, no personal holdings in any of the stocks which you have discussed, but yes, our clients may have positions in some of the names.
Ashish, your disclosures?
Yeah, I don't have any personal holding in any of the stocks which I have recommended.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on NDTV Profit, giving us your views on all the stocks we've discussed as well as your top picks. The markets are trading at the high of the day. We'll slip into a break at this point in time.